Today I'm going to show you the basics of decoupage while we create these Halloween themed shelf sitters. If you purchase the kit for this tutorial, you're getting brand new blocks in your kit. These are some ones that I had made another project with a while back, and I'm just going to reuse mine. I sanded some of the old paint off, and now I'm just applying my first coat of white paint to the face of the block. You want to put white paint underneath your decoupage paper in most instances because it really lets that decoupage pattern pop on your surface. You want to be able to see it. I'm going to go ahead and apply a second coat to mine because I'm recycling my blocks that I had used previously. The ones that you get in the kit are raw wood, so you'll probably be perfectly fine with just one coat of the white. I'm using the Untitled Treasures Halloween Project Blocks 2 paper for this project. You have all these options of different blocks that you can cut apart for this one. I'm going to use the one with the ravens on the right hand side of the sheet. I'm just using a wet paintbrush to cut my sheet apart. Because this sheet is pretty pigmented, like there's a lot of ink on there, it takes a little bit of working to get that water to soak into the paper. When you use water to cut your decoupage paper, whether you're using paper, tissue paper, or napkins, or anything, this gives you a softer edge, so you don't have that sharp cut edge. Once your water has had a chance to do its magic, you just gently pull it apart and it'll tear on that line you made with your paintbrush dipped in water. Now I'm just going to try to place which part of this chunk of paper I want to use on which block. Just going to kind of eyeball it. There's no right or wrong here. Just decide how you want your finished project to be, what image you want to use where, and just go from there. Once I figure out my placement, I just score the line with my finger along the edge of the block, and that gives me an idea on where to trim the paper so I don't have all this excess that's kind of in your way as you're trying to apply it. Then I just cut it at about a 1/2 inch-ish away from that scored line, and it just gives you a more manageable piece to work with. Just continue along with that same plan for all 3 of your blocks. Now that I have all my papers cut to a more manageable size, it's time to actually apply them. Included in your kit is a 1-ounce jar of Decoupage and Transfer Gel by Fusion Mineral Paint. I really like this medium for decoupage because it's a gel and it has a longer open time, so it just gives you a little bit more grace when it comes to applying your paper, especially if using bigger sheets of paper. Try to spread it on fairly evenly and don't miss any spots. Really try to take a look from the side, kind of all angles, to make sure you don't have any dry spots that you've missed, because those will create air bubbles in your paper. Once you have your decoupage gel applied, grab your paper, and I try to put it down on one side and then work my way across so I don't get any air bubbles. And I'm just very gently running my fingertips over the paper, pushing out any bubbles as I go. This is a little tip when it comes to smoothing out your decoupage paper. Your Roycycle Treasures decoupage paper comes in these plastic envelopes. So what I do is I just cut the closing end off. My scissors aren't the greatest here for cutting this thin plastic, but cut that end off so that sticky part doesn't get in your way. And then just place your hand in the bag like a glove, and you can rub it over your decoupage paper. And what this does is it lessens the friction, so the chances of you tearing your paper are way, way less. So I put a firm pressure on here, but not too hard. I'm just rubbing out any little wrinkles or anything. I'm not super worried about wrinkles and stuff, as I kind of like the little rustic, authentic look it gives it, but this does help smooth it out quite a bit more than it would if you didn't do this step. And it's just a handy tip because you have the bag already and it works perfectly. And I just immediately put the top coat over the paper. I don't wait for it to dry or anything. You sandwich your paper in between 2 coats of the Decoupage and Transfer Gel. And then you just set it aside and let it dry. Try to get a nice, smooth, even coat. The Decoupage and Transfer Gel will look milky, like you can see in this, but it dries crystal clear, so you won't see any of that. Apply the same process to your other 2 blocks and set them aside to dry completely. Once your project blocks are completely dry, in this case I had left these overnight, I went back with a sanding block and I just sand in single strokes down from the paper side to the off side. You don't want to sand back and forth as it can tear your paper and that's going to make a mess. So to get this nice clean edge, just sand down in the one direction all the way around your project blocks and it'll give you that nice clean edge. If you remember correctly at the beginning of this video, my blocks had been used for a different project earlier, so they had already had some paint on them. So I want the edges of these blocks and the backs to finish it off to be black, because it's a Halloween theme, of course. So I'm just going to go ahead with my brush and I'm going to paint the sides and then the insides black. Once you have all the outsides painted, you don't have to paint the insides, basically the backs of these, but they look much better to me. It finishes them off. So I'm going to go ahead now and paint these back edges and the insides all black too, and it'll just make them look better. If you've ever really struggled to get the lid off of your paint jar, regardless of the brand of paint you're using, this is the step that will stop that from happening. I'm not going to say I do it all the time, but when I remember, this saves me next time I need to go use it.
Hi guys, thanks so much for watching, and I hope this Decoupage 101 tutorial will inspire you to try bigger, better projects. These little shelf sitters are gonna be so cute for your Halloween decor. I'm always happy to help you guys out if you have any questions, so please don't hesitate to ask. Thanks so much for watching, and thanks for shopping at sentimentalsalvage.ca, where my goal is to create, inspire, and supply. Thanks, guys.